Hey guys, here we are as always. So tonight we are talking about the clutch. I see there's interest in this topic in the group with a ton of questions. So I decided to make a video to clear up any doubts. Remember, there's our WhatsApp chat where nearly 100 users share information with each other just on accessories and upgrades for the bike. That's the only topic in the chat. Back to us, the clutch. The Kove has a cable clutch, unlike other bikes. That have a hydraulic clutch. To put it simply, a hydraulic clutch adjusts itself when the bike is hot or cold, so it always releases consistently. A cable clutch does not. What does that mean? Let me give you an example right away. The last thing we went on, it doesn't matter when, just the last thing. I tightened the collar because the bake was getting hot. The clutch was heating up normally and it wasn't pulling enough. So the bike has a collar specifically for adjusting and optimally tightening the clutch. But what's happened now that it's cold? So when I turn it back on and start, even now that it's cold, the clutch is too tight. It's like I'm driving with the clutch half engaged, just a bit. Here, you have to be very careful. You need to pay attention to this detail. Why? Because you are going. You adjust yours after an hour, half an hour, whatever it is. You adjust with the ring, as it should be. You adjust the clutch, so it disengages perfectly. You put down the bike and pick it up again after a while, which can also be after an hour, be careful, or 2 hours. You need to pay attention to this. What happens when you pick it up again? How you worked and adjusted before, having tightened it, now open it, it's extremely tight, it's set. If I were to turn it on, I wouldn't feel much slipping, but the clutch is slipping. You must be careful because this detail can deteriorate the plates exponentially. Because you don't notice. Instead of the plates being completely glued and dragging, there's a slight gap. The plates rotate slightly faster over each other. You don't realize it. It's like just barely moving, not pressing hard, just a bit. The plates rotate, they heat up and cook, and the clutch lasts a short time. So, since the clutch doesn't adjust itself, and since the adjustments need to be changed when cold or hot, there's this ring. It's big, designed specifically to tighten and loosen. You shouldn't constantly be tightening and loosening while you go. What would I do now? It's tight because it's the first time I was going. It's pulled tight. I let it go like I'm doing right now. I let it go. I touch the brake. I touch the brake and give it a bit of play, okay? I need to be sure the clutch isn't slipping. I give it just a little bit of play. Perfect. Keep in mind that I've given it now, at this moment, 6, 7 turns. So it's not a small amount. Now the clutch is adjusted. What do? I gear up, start the bike, and do what I need to do. I keep the engine running, take a ride, watch for yourself, start. You'll notice that after a while, and this slack is too much because the play increases. And when you go to pull the clutch with the bike hot, engine hot, oil warm, you'll reach the point where your knuckles touch, you'll reach full pull, and the bike pulls you. So you're forced to give it a few more turns to make sure that when you pull the clutch, it disengages. This is a common operation in the racing world for a problematic clutch. This issue was solved when they installed hydraulic clutches, which have other issues, but they resolved this one. So you need to pay attention to avoid premature clutch wear. You need to use this ring. Always, you can't not use it. If it works for you, there's something wrong somewhere. Because I turn it, at least on mine, I turn it 6, 7, 8, turn it in around, okay. And when it's cold, I'm engaged, it's fine. But when it heats up, even if I pull, it doesn't disengage completely. And so when I'm riding maybe in tight spots, I'm not talking about full 6 gear, in tight spots, you need a bit of sensitivity to feather the clutch, to pull it out. If you don't disengage correctly, it takes a bit more effort. So what do I simply do? While I'm riding, if I'm in a race, if I'm not in a race, I slow down, stop, give it a few more turns until I always have the same play. That's it. Be careful that if you stop for lunch at noon, you'll be parked for an hour. Then when you start again at full speed, the clutch is now too tight, so you end up having this effect, overheating the clutch in the long run. Maybe it will act up for a few kilometers, because once it heats up, if you haven't adjusted it, it goes back to how it was. But for those 3, 4, 5 kilometers, when you start and push it hard, you won't notice that your discs are wearing out. That's all. They wear out, okay? And they get consumed. So to recap, when it's really cold, when you start, it's an operation you must get used to doing. Always, just like starting the bike, you should do this. It's my advice. Very good. Perfect. See now, I'm not sure if you can see from way back there, but I've got a small slack. I start after a few kilometers. I, by default, don't wait to reach the tough spot because otherwise it drags me. By default, I give it a few turns and adjust it. That's it. This is what you need to do. And remember that when you stop and pick it up again, after a few hours or the next day, if the clutch was fine when hot, it's too tight when cold, and you'll burn out or damage the clutch. Okay? Soon I need to get some information because there's already the actuator to be played, but I need to be sure and reliable because for me, reliability of every modification is above all. I don't reach the end of a race or you stop in the middle, and that's not what I like. Now I'm gathering information to be able to install the actuator. The actuator will completely solve this problem. Anyway, it will be another chapter. So remember what I told you about the clutch. Guys, I'm saying goodbye. Have a good evening. Bye.